Good evening, dreamer, and welcome to Boring Science for Sleep. Here, science is told, not as a lecture, but as a bedtime story. Slow, gentle, and never too serious. You don't have to remember every detail or keep track of every fact. Just let the words wash over you like warm sunlight fading into twilight, guiding you softly toward rest. Tonight, we turn our gaze to a question both simple and haunting. Can the sun ever go completely dark? The sun is our constant companion, the quiet fire that has burned for billions of years, holding Earth in its light and warmth. But nothing in the cosmos lasts forever, not even stars. One day, our sun will change, fading from its familiar brilliance into something else entirely. This story isn't meant to frighten you. It's not about catastrophe, but about cycles. About how even the brightest lights must rest, how endings in the universe are transformations, not disappearances. So settle in, dear traveler. Breathe deeply, and let your body grow heavy as the night sky above you. And before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from tonight, and what time is it there? I love to imagine these stories glowing across the world like lanterns in the dark. Now, let us drift into the tale of our star's future, the long path of light, and the quiet question of whether it can ever truly go dark. If you step outside on a clear morning and turn your face upward, you will feel it, the quiet, steady warmth of our star. The sun does not roar. It does not flicker or falter. It simply shines, as it has for billions of years, filling Earth with light, shaping every breath you take, every tree that grows, every shadow that falls. It is the silent companion of our days, the heartbeat of the sky. The sun is so constant that it is easy to forget how extraordinary it truly is. It burns with no wood, no oil, no fire in the way we know fire. Its light does not come from flame but from a process hidden deep within, in a core where temperatures and pressures reach unimaginable extremes. It is not just hot, it is a furnace of nuclear fusion, turning simple hydrogen, the most common element in the cosmos, into helium. And from that transformation comes energy, a river of photons that takes hundreds of thousands of years to drift from the sun's core to its surface, and then just over 8 minutes to cross the space to Earth. Every ray of sunlight you see is ancient, born long ago in the heart of the star. It spent its lifetime bouncing through dense plasma, wandering like a lost traveler through a labyrinth, before finally breaking free into the open sky. By the time it touches your skin, it is a survivor, carrying within it a story of patience, endurance, and release. And what a story it tells. The sun is 1.4 million kilometers wide, so vast that more than 1 million Earths could fit inside it. It weighs 99.8% of everything in our solar system, holding planets, comets, and asteroids in its embrace. Its gravity binds our world in orbit, steady as a parent's hand. Without it, Earth would spin into the dark, lost in the silence of interstellar space. Yet the sun is not a tyrant. It does not burn recklessly. It shines with balance, a steady outpouring that has lasted for 4.6 billion years already and will last for billions more. It is a main sequence star, a stable middle-aged giant in the grand family of stars. Not the largest, not the smallest, but perfectly suited for nurturing life on a nearby world. In the grand cosmic spectrum, our sun is ordinary, but in its ordinariness lies perfection. Think of what its light means here on Earth. Every tree, every blade of grass, every field of wheat owes its existence to sunlight, captured in green leaves, transformed into energy. Every breath you take contains oxygen released by plants that fed on the sunday. The warmth you feel in your skin is the same warmth that drives winds, builds storms, and carves rivers. Sunlight is not only illumination, it is the quiet architect of life. Even the warmth of your body can be traced back to the sunday. The food you eat, whether plant or animal, is built from solar energy. A loaf of bread carries the memory of sunlight stored in wheat. A piece of fruit is a fragment of sunshine distilled into sweetness. Even the warmth of your hand against your chest is, in some distant way, the warmth of the star above you, borrowed and carried within. The sun also shapes time itself. Our days and years are measured by its motion, the rising and setting that define our rhythms. Civilizations have built calendars around its path, temples aligned to its solstices, festivals to honor its cycles. It is not only a star, it is the great clock by which life has always counted. And yet, for all its importance, the sun does not demand attention. It does not thunder or call. It shines quietly, faithfully, without pause. It is both ordinary and miraculous, so constant that we rarely stop to marvel at its endurance. Imagine, if you will, a fire that burns without fuel, without smoke, without ever needing to be rekindled. Imagine a lamp that has glowed for billions of years without dimming. That is our sun, a miracle so steady it becomes background, a wonder so vast it becomes familiar. When you look at the sun, you are also looking at a bridge. Its light is ancient, but it arrives new each day, renewing the earth, renewing your life. It is both memory and present, both history and now. And though it seems eternal, it is a reminder that even stability is temporary, that even stars have lifespans. But for now, in this age, in this moment, the sun is steady. It is our living star, and it is still burning bright. Consider its surface, a turbulent sea of plasma, boiling and roiling in constant motion. Sunspots appear and fade, dark patches where magnetic fields twist and knot. Solar flares burst outward, sending ripples through the solar wind, touching Earth with auroras. The sun is not still. It is alive, dynamic, a restless sphere of energy. And yet, from our distance, it appears calm. Its turbulence is hidden by its constancy, its storms softened by its steady glow. It is this duality that makes the sun so comforting. It is both chaos and calm, both restless and reliable. It is a reminder that balance does not mean stillness, that stability can exist alongside change. The sun endures not because it is unchanging, but because its changes flow within the rhythms of cosmic order. Tonight, as you drift towards sleep, imagine the sun as it is now, a glowing orb in space, 150 million kilometers away, yet close enough to warm your face. Imagine its light spilling outward, filling the solar system, touching each planet in turn. Picture Earth held safely in its orbit, cradled by gravity, bathed in light. Picture your room itself, the bed where you lie, as part of that story, warmed by a star that has burned for billions of years. Let this vision soothe you. You are not separate from the sun's story, you are part of it. Every breath, every heartbeat, every thought is a continuation of its light. The star above you is not distant, it is within you, woven into your very being. Our living star burns on, steady and patient, a silent guardian in the sky. And tonight, as you close your eyes, you can rest knowing that tomorrow it will rise again. The same warmth that has touched Earth for ages will touch you once more. The same light that has carried across deep time will find you again. The sun, in all its brilliance, is your companion. For now, it is bright. For now, it is constant. For now, it is alive. Imagine holding a candle in the dark. Its flame is delicate, fed by wax and oxygen, flickering as it burns. Now, try to imagine a fire that burns without wax, without wood, without anything you would recognize as fuel. A fire that does not flicker, does not waver, but burns with perfect steadiness for billions of years. That is the fire at the heart of the sun, the fire of fusion. The sun does not shine because it is on fire in the way we know fire. It shines because its core is a place of unimaginable pressure and heat, where atoms themselves are pushed together until they merge. Deep inside, the temperature reaches 15 million degrees Celsius. The pressure is so intense that hydrogen atoms, usually content to float alone, are forced to embrace, fusing into helium. In that moment of fusion, a tiny bit of mass vanishes, transformed into pure energy. This is Einstein's famous equation, E equals mass squared, mc4, whispered in every collision, repeated trillions of times per second. This is the furnace that powers our star. 4 hydrogen atoms combine to form 1 helium atom, and in the process, energy is released in the form of light and heat. It is an alchemy of the cosmos, simple elements becoming something new, and in that transformation, the sun finds its brilliance. The process is relentless. but also patient. Each photon of energy born in the sun's core does not leap out instantly. Instead, it begins a long, wandering journey. Imagine a child trying to leave a crowded festival, pushing through the throng. Every step forward is slowed by the press of bodies, every movement met with a bump or a turn. So it is with photons in the sunday. They scatter off particles deflected again and again, taking hundreds of thousands of years to crawl from the core to the surface. Only when they finally reach the outer layers do they escape into space, racing the last 150 million kilometers to Earth in just over 8 minutes. When you feel sunlight on your skin, you are feeling the patience of those photons, the survivors of a journey that began long before humanity itself. They are messengers, bearing the signature of fusion, the evidence of the sun's hidden furnace. It is astonishing to think how much energy flows outward. Every second, the sun converts 600 million tons of hydrogen into helium. From this, it radiates 3.8 times 10 to the power of 26 watts of power, enough to power billions of Earths. Yet the sun is not drained by this effort. It has burned steadily for billions of years already, and will continue for billions more, because it is vast, its fuel seemingly inexhaustible on human timescales. This fire in the core is not chaotic, not wild. It is balanced, delicate, restrained by gravity. The sun shines steadily, because it is in equilibrium, the inward pull of its immense gravity perfectly balanced by the outward push of fusion. If gravity were stronger, the star would collapse. If fusion burned hotter, it would explode. But here, in our sun, the forces are matched, like two dancers holding one another in balance, neither yielding, neither overpowering. That balance is why the sun shines with such calmness, why its fire seems eternal. And what a fire it is! Not a flame, but a fusion of hearts. Every element heavier than hydrogen in your body, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, iron, was born in other stars through this same process. The sun is a living link in that chain of creation, repeating the ancient work of fusion that has built the universe itself. To feel its warmth is to feel the very process of cosmic becoming. Think of how gentle this is for us. You sit beneath a tree, and sunlight filters through the leaves, soft and dappled. You walk along the shore, and sunlight glitters across waves. You open your eyes in the morning, and sunlight spills into your room, quiet and golden. All of that tenderness, all of that warmth, begins with the violent crush of hydrogen atoms in the sun's core. From unimaginable violence comes extraordinary gentleness. From chaos comes calm. There is a lesson there, whispered in every beam of light, that power can serve peace, that the fiercest forces can give rise to tenderness, that even at the heart of violence, beauty may be born. And though we often take it for granted, the sun's fire is precious. Without it, Earth would be a frozen rock drifting in darkness. Without it, oceans would freeze, winds would die, life would never have begun. Every flower that blooms, every bird that sings, every breath you take is a continuation of that fusion fire. It is not separate from you, it is within you. You are, in the most literal sense, sunlight shaped into flesh. Now, as you drift deeper into rest, picture the sun's heart, not in fear, but in awe. Imagine hydrogen atoms, tiny and numerous, pressed together by gravity's weight, fusing into helium with a release of light. Imagine those photons wandering for eons, bouncing and scattering, until at last they break free into the sky. Imagine one of those photons traveling across the void, arriving gently at your window, spilling into your room, touching your face. That photon's journey is over, and yours, for now, is beginning, the journey into sleep. Let the thought calm you. The sun shines not in haste but in patience, not in flashes but in constancy. It does not worry about when it will run out or when it will dim. It simply burns, moment by moment, cycle by cycle, for as long as its fuel allows. And you too can rest without worry, knowing the light will still be here tomorrow. The fire in the sun's core is not eternal, but for now, it is steady. For now, it is ours. For now, it is enough. Every morning the sun rises, and every evening it sets. Day after day, year after year, It has always been this way, so constant that we seldom stop to wonder, will it always be so? How long can a star keep its steady fire burning? To answer that question, we must think of the sun not as an eternal flame, but as a clock, a cosmic timepiece whose ticking is written in the language of fusion. Like all clocks, it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Its gears are atoms, its pendulum is gravity, its power source is the quiet conversion of hydrogen into helium. Every tick is a fusion reaction, every tock a beam of light spilling into the universe. Our sun, this steady guardian, is about 4.6 billion years old. That number sounds impossibly large to us, but for a star, it marks only middle age. Astronomers estimate that a star like the sun can live for around 10 billion years before it exhausts the fuel in its core. This means our star has roughly another 5 billion years left in its stable shining phase, an eternity by human measure, but only a chapter in cosmic time. Think of a great sand glass, filled not with grains of sand, but with atoms of hydrogen. Each grain that falls is an atom fused, converted, transformed into energy. Over billions of years, the sand has been slipping steadily from one chamber to the other. Today, nearly half the sand remains, the clock still running, the fire still steady. But eventually, slowly, inevitably, the last grains will fall. It is not a sudden end, not a dramatic extinguishing. Stars are not like candles that burn out in a flicker. They are more like fires that change as their fuel shifts. For the sun, the transition from middle age to old age will come when the hydrogen in its core is mostly gone. Without that steady fuel, the balance it has kept for billions of years will begin to falter. For now, though, the sun is comfortable. In its core, hydrogen fuses to helium at a measured pace. Around the core, layers of gas shift and churn, carrying energy outward. On its surface, the light spills freely into space, and here, on Earth, we walk in that light, bask in that warmth, and rarely think of the clock ticking at all. But the clock is there. Its ticking is written in the faint changes of the sun's brightness, in the growing accumulation of helium in the core, in the subtle adjustments of balance between gravity and pressure. Over time, the sun will grow brighter, slowly heating Earth. Hundreds of millions of years from now, long before the final transformation, our world may become too hot for oceans, too harsh for life as we know it. The clock does not wait for us. It ticks on, indifferent but steady. And yet, there is a comfort in knowing its pace. 5 billion years is an ocean of time. Civilizations rise and fall in mere thousands of years. Species come and go in millions. Even the span of all human history is a blink compared to the sun's remaining life. For us, the sun might as well be eternal. It will shine long beyond our days, long beyond our children's children, long beyond even the memory of humanity itself. To place the sun in context, consider other stars. Massive stars, many times larger than our sun, burn through their fuel in only a few million years, their lives brief but brilliant, ending in supernova explosions. Tiny red dwarfs, much smaller than our sun, burn with a dim but enduring light, lasting for trillions of years. In this cosmic spectrum, our sun is balanced, a steady middle star, neither fleeting nor everlasting. Its life is long enough to nurture planets, long enough to foster life, long enough to let stories like ours unfold. It is easy to anthropomorphize the sun, to think of it as patient, generous, wise, but in truth, it is simply obeying physics, following the laws of fusion and gravity. And yet, in those laws, we find poetry. The sun's constancy gives us a model of steadiness. Its lifespan gives us a sense of perspective. Our days are fleeting, but we live within the glow of something that has endured for eons and will endure for eons more. The ticking of the cosmic clock is not meant to frighten us. It is meant to remind us of scale. When your worries feel overwhelming, think of the sun, still shining after 4.6 billion years, still burning calmly with half its life ahead. Think of the galaxies, filled with stars older and younger, ticking in their own rhythms. Think of how your moment, brief though it is part of this grand sweep of time. Astronomers sometimes describe stars as having life cycles, like living beings. Birth in a nebula, youth in steady burning, old age in transformation, death in quiet remnants. Our sun is midway in its life cycle, steady and sure. Its clock ticks slowly, and we are blessed to exist during its calm middle age. We are children of a star in balance, warmed by its patience, carried by its light. So, can the sun ever go completely dark? Not yet, not for a very, very long time. Its clock still has billions of years left, its sandglass still half full. To us, it is endless. To the cosmos, it is a chapter. Both truths exist at once, and both are beautiful. As you drift towards sleep tonight, imagine the sun as a great cosmic clock, ticking gently, steadily, never rushed. Each second, another atom fuses, another photon begins its long journey, another tick of the pendulum echoes in the silence of space. You are not separate from this clock. You are part of its rhythm, living your brief days within its ancient light. Close your eyes and let that rhythm steady you. The sun will rise tomorrow, and the day after, and the day after that, for billions of years to come. The clock of stars ticks on, and you are safe within its glow. Imagine a fire that has burned for hours in a hearth. At first, the flames are bright and lively, fueled by fresh wood. Later, as the logs grow thin, the fire changes. The flames leap higher, hotter, and less stable. What was once a steady glow becomes a restless blaze. So it is with our sun. When the balance of its fuel shifts, its steady light will one day give way to swelling fire. For billions of years, the sun has quietly fused hydrogen into helium in its core. This is the balance that keeps it steady, the pendulum that ticks with patient rhythm. But as time flows, the hydrogen at its center will slowly run dry. The core, now filled with heavier helium, can no longer sustain the same fusion. And when that day comes, 5 billion years from now, the sun will begin to change. Gravity, always waiting, presses inward. Without the outward push of hydrogen fusion to balance it, the core contracts, becoming smaller, denser, hotter. This new heat ignites hydrogen in the surrounding shell, a layer above the core. Fusion resumes, but now in a ring around the center. And as this shell burns, the outer layers of the sun respond. They expand outward, swelling into space. The sun will become a red giant, a star transformed, swollen to hundreds of times its current size. Today, its diameter is 1.4 million kilometers. As a red giant, it may stretch far enough to engulf Mercury, Venus, and perhaps even Earth itself. The sky, if it could still be seen from our planet, would be filled by a colossal crimson sun dominating the heavens. This stage will not be sudden. The swelling will unfold over millions of years, a slow-motion transformation written across the cosmos. The sun's outer layers will thin as they expand, glowing redder as the surface cools. What was once a yellow-white star, steady and modest, will become a vast red lantern pulsing with new rhythms. For Earth, this change will mean an ending. Long before the sun reaches its maximum size, the growing heat will boil away oceans, strip away atmospheres, and leave our world barren. Life, if it still clings to this planet by then, will not survive. The red giant sun is both a spectacle of beauty and a harbinger of endings. And yet, in the language of the cosmos, this is not destruction, it is transformation. Stars do not die with a single extinguishing. They evolve, shifting from one balance to another, always following the logic of gravity and fusion. The red giant is simply the sun's next chapter, a fiery metamorphosis written in the physics of time. Imagine standing on a faraway planet, orbiting another star, and looking up to see a red giant in the sky. It would glow immense, filling the heavens with warm crimson light. Its beauty would be undeniable, its presence awe-inspiring. To such a distant observer, the sun's transformation will not look like loss, but like grandeur. Even in endings, stars can be magnificent. The swelling of the sun carries metaphors for us too. In our own lives, we change as our fuel shifts. Youth is a steady fire, middle age a balance of constancy. But in later years, we too swell with change. Our passions may glow brighter, our stories grow larger, even as our core contracts. The red giant is a cosmic mirror, reminding us that growth and fading are often intertwined, that endings can be luminous. It is also worth remembering that while Earth may fall victim to this future, the Sun's transformation will scatter new materials into space. Its outer layers, cast off in the swelling, will seed the galaxy with elements forged in its heart. Carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen, the ingredients of life, will be released, ready to form new stars, new planets, new possibilities. What looks like an ending for one world becomes a beginning for others. Astronomers often speak with reverence about this stage. The red giant is not a collapse, not yet. It is an expansion, a reaching outward, a vast blossoming. If you imagine stars as flowers, then the red giant phase is their great blooming, their moment of brilliance before the petals fall. Our sun, quiet and ordinary for so long, will have its bloom too. The thought can feel heavy, but there is peace in its distance. 5 billion years is a span we can barely comprehend. By then, humanity as we know it may be long gone, or transformed into something new scattered among the stars. Earth's story may have ended, or may have continued in ways we cannot imagine. The red giant is not a threat to us. It is a vision of deep time, a reminder of how small our moment is within the life of a star. So tonight, as you listen, do not fear the swelling Sunday. Instead, imagine it as a great lantern in the sky, glowing red and vast, spilling its layers into space. Imagine it not as death, but as flowering. Imagine the elements of your body, carbon in your cells, calcium in your bones, once forged in ancient stars, waiting to be carried forward by the sun's own final bloom. You are part of this cycle. You are part of the story of stars. The sun, in its red giant phase, will only be continuing the same pattern that made you possible. It will release, it will transform, and in that release, the universe will grow richer. Let that thought soothe you. Endings are not always darkness. Sometimes they are expansion, a swelling into something larger, a final bloom before rest. Close your eyes now and picture the sun, steady as it is today, but holding within it the seed of its future. It will swell, it will glow red, it will change. And that change, far away in time, is part of the same story that lets you lie here tonight, safe in its present warmth. The sun will bloom, and so, in your own way, will you. Imagine an old tree in autumn. For months it has stood tall, its leaves green and full, soaking up the summer Sunday. But as the season changes, the tree begins to loosen its grip. One by one, its leaves drift away, swirling in the air before settling softly on the ground. The tree is not dying, it is releasing, transforming, preparing for the next stage of its life. So too will the sun, in the distant future, release what it no longer needs. After billions of years of steady shining, after swelling into a red giant, the sun will begin the gentle act of letting go. It will not explode in fury like some massive stars do. Instead, it will sigh, releasing its outer layers into space, casting off its brilliance in a final display of beauty. This process is quiet in cosmic terms, unfolding over tens of thousands of years. The outer shell of the sun, vast and expanded, will become unstable. Its gravity will no longer hold those layers tightly, and they will drift away, peeling off in waves. Each layer carries with it the elements forged in the sun's core: carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, ingredients that will someday seed new worlds. What remains behind is a glowing cloud, a planetary nebula. Though the name is misleading, it has nothing to do with planets. Instead, it is a shell of gas and dust, shaped and illuminated by the hot core left at the center. Through telescopes, these nebulae are among the most breathtaking sights in the universe. Some form delicate rings, others stretch into butterfly-like wings, others swirl in intricate patterns of glowing filaments. Each is a cosmic blossom, the final flowering of a star that once burned steady as ours does now. The sun, too, will leave such a blossom. Imagine it, Earth long gone, the solar system transformed, and in the sky, a glowing shell of color, faint and beautiful, spreading outward like petals of light. To distant observers in other star systems, our sun's nebula will be a beacon, a final painting, hung in the gallery of the cosmos. This act of release is not wasteful, it is generous. The layers the sun sheds will not vanish into nothing. They will drift into space, mingling with the interstellar medium, enriching the galaxy with new material. Out of those gases and dust, new stars will someday be born, new planets will form. Perhaps, in some unimaginable far future, life will emerge again, carried on atoms once held in the heart of our Sunday. It is a gentle cycle, a passing of the torch. The sun, having burned for billions of years, will give back to the universe the elements it created. What once built its own fire will become the seeds for other fires, other worlds, other stories. There is a profound softness in this image. Unlike massive stars that end in violent supernovae, scattering their cores with thunderous blasts, our sun will end with a whisper. Not an explosion, but a release. Not a roar, but a sigh. It is as if the universe itself knew that life needed a quieter star, a calmer fate, one that would glow long enough to nurture, and then fade with grace. Think of how this mirrors our own lives. There comes a time for release, a time to let go of what no longer serves us, a time to offer back to the world what we have carried. The sun's letting go is not a failure, but a gift. Its final act is generosity, sharing its essence with the cosmos, ensuring that what it has built will continue in new forms. Astronomers who study planetary nebulae often describe them as both scientific wonders and artistic marvels. Through their telescopes, they see delicate shells of glowing gas, lit by ultraviolet radiation from the hot star remnant at the center. Greens, reds, purples and blues shimmer in intricate shapes. It is as if the star, in its last breath, painted the sky with color. Our sun will one day paint such a picture, and though no one may be there to see it, perhaps humanity will have long moved on, perhaps even Earth itself will be gone, the cosmos will witness it. For a time, our sun's nebula will glow, a lantern in the dark, before fading back into the interstellar night. The thought is not sad but comforting. Endings are often framed as loss, but in the cosmos, endings are beginnings in disguise. The layers the sun sheds will become clouds that birth stars. The atoms in those clouds may one day shine again, not as the sun, but as new suns, new homes for new worlds. The legacy continues, written not in permanence, but in transformation. So, can the sun ever go completely dark? Not yet. Not after its red giant bloom, not even after it sheds its layers. For a time, the planetary nebula will shine brightly, a farewell gesture of light. Only later will the core cool into a white dwarf, and later still, into something darker. The darkness comes, yes, but only after an extended act of giving, after a final outpouring of radiance. Tonight, as you rest, imagine the sun's future nebula. Picture delicate waves of gas glowing softly, spreading into the night like a cosmic flower. Imagine colors blending, reds, blues, purples, shining, for thousands of years before fading back into silence. Picture those gases drifting outward, mingling with the galaxy, carrying within them the possibility of new beginnings. Let that vision comfort you. The sun will not end in violence, but in grace. Its farewell will be beauty, its last act a gift. You are part of that story, for the atoms that make you were once shed by stars long ago. You are living proof that letting go creates life. Close your eyes now and feel the rhythm of that cycle. Birth, growth, transformation, release. It is written in the stars, and it is written in you. The sun will shed its layers, and so will you, in your own way, in your own time. But what remains will endure, carried forward, reshaped, reborn. The sun's gentle letting go is not the end of light. It is the spreading of it, the sharing of it, the continuation of it, and in that truth, you can rest. Imagine a campfire at the end of the night. Hours ago, the flames leapt high, crackling with heat and light, but now the fire has grown smaller. The wood is mostly gone, the blaze subdued. What remains is not nothing, but glowing embers, small, dense, still radiating warmth, still glowing softly in the dark. The sun, too, will one day become such an ember. After swelling into a red giant and gently shedding its outer layers into a planetary nebula, what remains will be the core, dense, hot, stripped bare of its glowing shell. This remnant will not shine by fusing new fuel. It will shine only because it is still hot, still glowing, like a coal in the aftermath of fire. This is the fate of our sun, to become a white dwarf. A white dwarf is a strange kind of star. Though no larger than Earth, it contains nearly half the sun's mass. Imagine squeezing the weight of a star into something the size of a planet. The density is unimaginable. A teaspoon of white dwarf matter would weigh tons. Its gravity is so strong that its surface would crush anything instantly, pressing matter into extreme compactness. And yet, for all that intensity, a white dwarf is quiet. It does not roar with fusion. It does not swell or explode. It simply glows with leftover heat, a quiet lantern in the cosmic dark. At first it will shine bright, blazing white against the background of space. But without the ongoing fire of fusion, it will slowly cool, its light fading across billions, even trillions of years. The transformation from red giant to white dwarf is not a violent death, but a gentle settling. The sun will have lived its long life, spent its fuel, released its layers, and now it will rest. It will not be gone, only changed, an ember where once there was a fire, a jewel where once there was a blaze. There is something profoundly peaceful about this image. The white dwarf is not a failure of the sun, not its defeat. It is simply the natural next step in a star's life. It is how stars like ours end, not in explosion, but in endurance. They do not vanish, they linger, smaller but denser, fainter but still present. And though the white dwarf will no longer nurture life or flood worlds with light, it will still bear meaning. Within its dense body, the record of billions of years will be preserved. Every atom of carbon, oxygen, and heavier elements formed in the sun's furnace will remain, ready to be carried into new futures. The white dwarf is a relic, a time capsule, a witness to the star that once was. Astronomers often speak of white dwarfs with a kind of reverence. They are grave markers of stars, but also libraries. By studying their cooling, scientists can learn the ages of star clusters and the passage of galactic time. In their silence, white dwarfs still speak. They whisper of the stars that came before, of the cycles that shaped the universe, of the patience of matter itself. For our sun, becoming a white dwarf will be its long rest. It will sit quietly in the dark, still glowing softly, surrounded by the faint nebula it once released. Slowly, the nebula will fade, dispersing into the galaxy, and the white dwarf will remain, small and bright, like a pearl in the night. This image of a white dwarf invites reflection. Think of your own life, how effort eventually gives way to rest, how energy eventually settles into calm. We are not so different from stars. We burn brightly in our youth, expand and transform as we age, and eventually release what we no longer need. What remains is quieter, smaller, but no less meaningful. A white dwarf is not the end of a star's story. It is the chapter of rest. It is also a reminder that size is not everything. The sun, once immense and dominant, will become small and dense, yet it will still endure for ages. Its legacy will not be measured in its brightness, but in the life it made possible, the matter it released, the balance it once gave. Sometimes, the smallest things carry the greatest weight. The white dwarf stage may last longer than any other in the sun's life. While the main sequence star we know today will last about 10 billion years, the white dwarf could glow faintly for trillions of years, cooling slowly, ever so slowly. By then, the universe itself will be unimaginably old. Galaxies may have shifted, stars may have burned out, and still the sun's ember will glow, a stubborn reminder of what once was. And when at last, after unthinkable spans of time, it cools completely, it will become a black dwarf, a dark remnant, invisible in the cosmic sea. But that is a story for even farther into the future, beyond any horizon we can imagine. For now, the white dwarf is the sun's gentle finale, its long twilight, its quiet glow in eternity. So tonight, as you prepare to rest, imagine the sun's far future, not as a roaring giant, but as a small, quiet ember, glowing softly against the dark. Imagine it not with sadness, but with peace. The sun will not rage against the end. It will settle into stillness, as fires always do. It will shine not in grandeur, but in patience. Let that thought calm you. Just as the sun will rest, so too can you. The day's burning is over, the energy spent, and now it is time for your quiet glow. You do not need to blaze constantly. You only need to be, to linger gently, to exist in peace. Close your eyes and let the vision of the white dwarf cradle you. A small star, dense and bright, resting after a long and luminous life. The sun's future is not destruction, it is rest. And in that rest, you too can find your own. Picture a coal glowing softly in the dark. Hours ago, it was part of a lively fire, flames dancing and sparks rising. Now, the flames are gone, but the coal still shines faintly, red at the edges, warm if you hold your hand close. It does not flare or flicker, it simply cools, slowly, patiently, until one day even the glow will fade. The sun, after all its brilliance, will one day become such a coal. After shedding its outer layers as a red giant, after shining quietly as a white dwarf, it will enter its final chapter, cooling in silence. This stage will not come soon. It will take trillions of years, longer than the universe has even existed. But in time, the white dwarf will lose its heat, its glow will dim, its warmth will fade. And eventually, it will become a black dwarf, a cold, dark remnant of what was once a star. A black dwarf is a theoretical thing, for the universe itself is still too young to contain one. The oldest white dwarfs we know are still glowing faintly, billions of years after they formed. Since the universe is only 13.8 billion years old, not enough time has passed for any white dwarf to cool completely. And so black dwarfs exist only in the far, far future, a destiny waiting patiently to unfold. What would such a star be like? It would be small, no larger than Earth, but unimaginably dense. Its atoms would be packed tightly, held by the memory of gravity. No light would shine from it, no heat would flow outward. To an observer passing nearby, it would be invisible, a silent piece of matter drifting in the cosmic dark. And yet, it would still be there, holding its mass, holding its history, even without its glow. It is strange to imagine the sun in such a state. Today, it is vibrant, radiant, the source of life and warmth. Tomorrow, in cosmic terms, it will be quiet, dark, hidden. But this is the natural rhythm of stars. Fire cannot last forever. Even the brightest lantern eventually becomes an ember, and even the ember eventually cools into ash. And yet, the story of a black dwarf is not one of despair. It is one of endurance. The sun will not explode into nothingness. It will not vanish without trace. Instead, it will persist, transformed, resting. Its atoms will remain, a reminder of its long life, a relic of a star that once held planets and warmed oceans. The silence is not emptiness. It is memory. Think of how comforting this is. Endings do not erase what came before. The coal that cools in the hearth still carries the story of the fire it once was. The black dwarf will carry the story of the sun, the warmth it gave, the life it nourished, the billions of years it shone faithfully in the sky. Its light may fade, but its story remains written into the universe. And though the black dwarf will not shine, it may still play a part in the cosmos. Its gravity will remain, perhaps tugging gently at whatever worlds or remnants drift nearby. It will still be matter, still part of the great web of existence. In its silence, it will still belong. On a larger scale, the idea of black dwarfs points us toward the ultimate fate of the universe. If stars like the sun all eventually cool, then one day the cosmos itself will be filled with such remnants, cold, dark, scattered embers of what were once suns. Astronomers call this the heat death of the universe, a time when stars are gone, energy is spent, and everything has grown still. It is a vision of infinite quiet, infinite rest. This might sound heavy, but it carries its own kind of peace. The universe, so full of motion and light, will one day exhale, and in that exhalation will come stillness. Nothing lasts forever, not even stars, not even time as we know it. And yet, within that impermanence, there is beauty. For what makes the present precious is the fact that it is fleeting. The sun shines brightly now because it cannot shine forever. Life blossoms now because it cannot last eternally. The glow is meaningful because it will one day fade. Think of your own days in this way. Each carries light, warmth, and energy, but each also carries rest, quiet, and eventual stillness. Just as the sun will cool into silence, so too do our days end in night, our efforts end in rest. This is not a loss but a rhythm, the natural ebb and flow written into all things. Tonight, as you close your eyes, imagine the sun in its final form, not burning, not glowing, but resting, dark and quiet, drifting through the galaxy like a silent stone. Imagine it not with fear, but with tenderness. The sun will have lived its life fully. It will have shone for billions of years, given warmth, nurtured life, created beauty, and then it will have rested, as all things must. You are part of that same cycle. You are not separate from the stars. The atoms in your body, once forged in ancient suns, remind you that you belong to this cosmic story. Just as they once glowed in fire and now rest in you, so too will they someday return to the universe to be part of another chapter. Nothing is truly lost. Everything is transformed. The cooling of the sun into a black dwarf is not the end of everything. It is simply another stage, another page in the endless book of the cosmos. The story does not end. It continues in silence, in transformation, in new beginnings, born from old. So, let this vision soothe you. Do not fear the quiet. Do not fear the cooling. The universe is vast, patient, and eternal in its change. The sun will rest, and so will you. Close your eyes now, and let the thoughts settle in your heart. Even in darkness there is peace. Even in silence there is meaning. Even when the light is gone, the story remains. The sun's journey from white to black is not a tragedy. It is a lullaby, a reminder that after fire comes rest, after brightness comes calm, and after effort comes sleep. Good night, traveler. May you find rest in the silence, just as the stars one day will. Imagine standing in a familiar room after the light has been turned off. The walls, the furniture, the objects are all still there, but they have lost their warmth, their colors muted, their presence dimmed. The room feels quieter, emptier, even though nothing has truly disappeared. So too would the solar system feel in the unimaginable future, when the sun has cooled into silence, when its long glow has finally faded. What does a universe without our sun look like? What happens to the planets, the moons, the wandering comets, once the great lantern at the center has gone dark? First, there is the change of gravity. Though the sun will shed much of its mass during its red giant years, nearly half of it will remain locked in the white dwarf core. That remnant will still tug on planets with its gravity, though its pull will be weaker. Some planets may drift outward into more distant orbits. Others, especially the smaller bodies, asteroids, comets, icy fragments, may wander off into space, unbound from their old path. The Earth, if it still exists at this stage, will be cold. Its oceans will have boiled away long before, its atmosphere stripped, its surface hardened into silence. What remains will be a frozen relic, circling a faint ember of a Sunday Mars too, and Jupiter's moons, and Saturn's rings, all will be altered, frozen, dim, quiet. The solar system will become a museum, its displays unchanged, but its lights turned out. It is a haunting image, but not a sad one, for though the warmth is gone, the story is not erased. The planets will still carry their scars, their histories, their silent witness to billions of years under the sun's care. Earth's crust will still bear the imprint of oceans and mountains. Even if no one remains to see them, the icy moons will still hold their hidden seas, though forever locked in ice. The solar system will persist, not alive as we know it, but still present, still orbiting, still part of the cosmic fabric. Beyond the solar system, the universe itself will continue. Other stars will shine, other galaxies will glitter, other suns will rise over other worlds. Ours will be only one among many that have dimmed. For stars are not eternal. They are chapters in the universe's book, written and closed in their time. And just as countless stars have already faded, so too will countless others fade in the eons to come. Yet even in such endings, there is a quiet beauty. Picture the sun's planetary nebula, glowing in its final blossoming, casting its layers into the galaxy. Picture those atoms drifting outward, mixing with interstellar clouds, becoming part of new stars, new worlds. Perhaps someday, life in some distant corner of the Milky Way will rise under a new sun, and in its atoms will be the memory of our own. In this way, the sun will not be gone. It will be transformed, spread across space, woven into futures far beyond our imagining. There is also the matter of perspective. A universe without our sun is not a universe without light. To distant eyes, the sun's nebula may be one of many jewels in the galaxy, glowing softly in silence. To astronomers of another world, the remnant white dwarf may be a point of study, a curiosity, a reminder that stars age and change. To them, the sun's story will be part of the grand chorus of stellar lives, no more tragic than the falling of a leaf in autumn. And what of us? By the time the sun enters these stages, humanity as we know it will long be gone, or transformed, or scattered. Perhaps our descendants will travel to other stars, living under different suns, carrying with them the memory of the one that nurtured their beginnings. Perhaps life will end here and begin elsewhere, seeded by atoms released from the sun itself. Either way, our star's fate will not be the end of life's story. It will only be a change of scene. This vision of the far future invites humility. It reminds us that nothing, not even stars, lasts forever. The sun feels eternal to us, yet it too is bound to time. And yet, this impermanence is not bleak. It is what gives meaning to the present. The sun shines now, and that is what matters. It shines for us, in our days, in our years, in our lifetimes. Its future silence does not erase its present song. Imagine yourself now, lying beneath the night sky. Above you, countless stars shine, each with its own story, its own lifespan, its own eventual silence. Ours is just one among them, no more eternal, no less precious. And that is what makes its light so beautiful, the knowledge that it is temporary, the understanding that it is a gift of this moment. So, can the sun ever go completely dark? Yes, in the far, far future, it will fade into a black dwarf, a dark remnant drifting in the night. But by then, the universe will have changed beyond recognition. Galaxies will have shifted, stars will have risen and fallen, new worlds will have formed. The sun's darkness will not be the end, it will be a part of the ongoing flow of time, one thread in an endless tapestry. Let that thought bring you peace. You live in the golden age of the sun, in the brief window when it shines steady and bright, when Earth is warm and alive. You walk in its light, breathe its air, rest in its rhythm. You are part of its story, here and now. Close your eyes and imagine the distant future, a solar system without a shining sun, quiet and still, but not empty. Picture the memory of sunlight lingering, not in brightness, but in legacy. The sun's atoms carried outward, the warmth it gave written in the history of Earth, the light it shed preserved in the life it nurtured. Even in silence, the sun will remain. And as you drift into sleep, remember this: endings are only transformations. The sun will one day darken, but in its darkness will lie the seeds of new beginnings. The universe will carry on, vast and mysterious, and you too are part of that eternal flow. Rest now, under the sun's present light, safe in the knowledge that for billions of years more, it will rise again tomorrow. The future will come in its time, but tonight, there is only the warmth of this moment. Imagine tracing every breath you take back to its beginning. The air fills your lungs, oxygen flows into your blood, your body carries on quietly with its work. But where did that oxygen come from? From green leaves reaching toward the sky, from oceans of algae stirring in waves, from plants that unfurled under sunlight. And where did they find their energy to grow, to release that oxygen? From the Sunday. The truth is simple yet profound. Life on Earth is sunlight transformed. Every leaf, every creature, every breath carries the imprint of our star's radiance. The sun is not only a ball of gas burning in the sky, it is the reason there are forests, rivers, oceans teeming with life. And you, lying here now, listening to this story. The story begins with plants, the quiet alchemists of Earth. Through photosynthesis, they catch photons from the sun and weave them into sugar, into energy, into life. Those sugars feed animals, and those animals feed others, and the chain continues. Every bite of food you eat is a piece of sunlight, stored and passed along, transformed from light into flesh, into movement, into thought. A loaf of bread is golden light captured in wheat. A piece of fruit is a fragment of sunlight distilled into sweetness. Even a drop of milk or a morsel of meat is sunlight carried through living bodies, reshaped into nourishment. Without the sun, the earth would be a frozen, silent rock. Its oceans would be ice, its skies lifeless, its surface barren. It is the sun that turned our planet into a garden, painting it green, filling it with warmth, creating a stage for the miracle of life. The sun did not simply shine, it nurtured, it shaped, it guided. And its influence is not only biological but cultural. From the earliest days, humans looked to the sun with reverence. Ancient civilizations built temples aligned with its rise and fall. Farmers sowed and harvested by its rhythms. Festivals celebrated solstices, equinoxes, the return of light after winter's long nights. The sun was not just a star in the sky, it was timekeeper, calendar, compass, and god. Its legacy is written in stone circles, in myths and stories, in the very rhythm of human civilization. Even now, the sun governs our days, it sets our clocks, directs our sleep, guides our activity. Circadian rhythms, our inner biological clocks, are tuned to its rising and setting. Our moods shift with its presence. Our bodies thrive in its light. We are not separate from the Sunday. We are in synchrony with it, body and soul. But the legacy of sunlight goes deeper still. It shaped evolution itself. Early life learned to capture light, to use it as energy. Creatures evolved eyes to sense it, wings and legs to move toward it, flowers to attract pollinators with its brilliance. Even our own ability to see color is a gift of the sun. Our eyes evolved to detect the narrow band of electromagnetic radiation that our star produces most strongly. What we call visible light is simply the sun's signature, the palette by which Earth painted its living world. Think of that for a moment. Our very perception is sculpted by our star. We see the world in green because plants reflect the part of sunlight they cannot use. We see the sky in blue because air scatters sunlight's shorter wavelengths. The way we imagine beauty, the green of a forest, the blue of the ocean, the golden hues of dawn, all of it is shaped by the physics of light, by the quiet consistency of the Sunday. And what of warmth? The sun's heat does more than comfort us. It drives the winds, stirs the oceans, carves the weather patterns that sustain ecosystems. Without its warmth, there would be no rain, no rivers, no fertile soil. Every cycle of water, every breath of air, every stirring of clouds is a piece of the sun's legacy. But perhaps the most profound part of this story is that we are made of the sun's gifts. The calcium in your bones, the iron in your blood, the carbon in your cells, all were forged in stars long before the sun was born. The sun did not make those elements, but it preserved them, nurtured them, and provided the energy that allowed them to come together into life. The very fact that you are here now, thinking and breathing, is because our star has burned steadily, kindly, for billions of years. When the sun eventually fades, its legacy will remain. Life on Earth may end, but the record of its presence will be written in fossils, in geology, in the layers of rock that whisper of oceans, forests, creatures that once thrived. And beyond Earth, the sun's atoms will scatter into space, mixing with the galaxy, becoming part of new stars, new planets, perhaps new life. Its light may fade, but its influence will echo forever. There is a tenderness in realizing this. The sun does not need monuments. It has written its memory into every tree, every heartbeat, every laugh. It has shaped us so completely that we cannot be separated from it. We are its children, its legacy, its continuation. So tonight, as you rest, think of the sunlight that lingers in you. The warmth in your skin, the energy in your body, the breath in your lungs, all are threads of a story that began in the heart of the Sunday. You are not simply under its light, you are made of it. And long after you are gone, those threads will continue, woven into the greater tapestry of existence. The sun's legacy is not only in the light it gave, but in the life it made possible. And in that way, it will never go completely dark. Even when its fire fades, its influence will remain, in atoms, in memories, in stories told by creatures that were born in its glow. Close your eyes and let that thought soothe you. You are part of the sun's legacy. Its warmth flows in you, its light shapes your world, its patience mirrors your own need for rest. You are, in every sense, a child of starlight. Sleep well tonight, wrapped in the sun's gift. Its light shines still, and in its legacy, you are never in darkness. There is something unsettling in imagining the sun dark. For as long as there has been earth, there has been sunlight, steady, golden, life-giving. To imagine the sky without it feels like imagining a world without breath. And yet, the sun's story, like all stories, will one day find its closing chapters. The fire will fade, the glow will dim, and eventually, in the deepest reaches of time, our star will rest in silence. But endings in the cosmos are rarely true endings. They are transformations, continuations in different forms, ripples that move outward. The sun's darkness, when it comes, will not erase its light. That light has already travelled outward, crossing space, painting earth with life, stirring winds, carving rivers, sparking evolution. The sun's rays have already written themselves into trees and oceans, into every bird's song, every human laugh, every heartbeat. Darkness cannot undo that. Think of a candle at the end of its flame. When the wick grows short, the light flickers and goes out, but the room it once lit is still touched by its warmth. The memory of its glow lingers in those who gathered near. The wax is not gone, it has simply taken another form. The sun, too, will leave such a legacy. Its light will have been carried across the ages, folded into the atoms of our bodies, scattered into the DNA of every living thing. Long after its surface grows cold, its story will live on in the echoes it left behind. Even in its last act, the sun will not vanish. Its outer layers, released as a planetary nebula, will drift into space, glowing briefly like petals in the night before dispersing. The elements forged in its furnace, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, will join the interstellar clouds. One day, those clouds may collapse into new stars. Around those stars, planets may form. On those planets, life may stir. In that life, there may be eyes that look to the sky, just as we do, and wonder where they came from. And the answer, though hidden, will be here. They will be the children of a sun long gone, carrying forward its story in new light. So, the sun's end is not the end. It is a handoff, a passing of the torch to the next generation of stars, to the next chapter of the universe. Its silence will feed new songs. Its cooling will seed new warmth. Its darkness will give birth to new beginnings. There is comfort in this truth, for it reminds us that our own endings, too, are not truly final. We live, we love, we create, and one day we rest, but what we have given continues. The words we spoke linger in memory. The kindness we offered shapes others. The warmth we carried flows outward, long after we are gone. Like the sun, we do not disappear, we transform. Perhaps that is why we are drawn to the night sky, for every star is a story of impermanence made beautiful. Some are young, bright with new fire. Some are old, glowing faintly with patience. Some have already shed their layers, blooming into nebulae. Some are remnants, white dwarfs and neutron stars, silent but enduring. All are reminders that even as light fades, meaning does not. And so, when we ask whether the sun can ever go completely dark, the answer is both yes and no. Yes, its fire will one day cool, its light will one day fade, but no, it will never truly vanish. Its legacy will outlast its glow. Its influence will echo forever, carried in the atoms it forged, in the life it nurtured, in the memories it left behind. Tonight, as you lie down to rest, let that thought soothe you. The day's light has faded into night, but the sun's story continues. Even in darkness, you are surrounded by its warmth, carried in its legacy. You are part of its light, part of its story, part of its endless gift to the cosmos. And just as the sun will one day rest, so too can you. The effort of the day is over. The warmth you've carried is enough. Now it is time to let go, to settle into quiet, to allow yourself the peace of stillness. In a moment, gentle music will follow, a soft cosmic lullaby, like starlight set to sound. Let it carry you further into rest, deeper into dreams, until you too are cradled in silence. Thank you, dear traveller, for joining this journey through the sun's story. Before you drift off, I'll ask, where are you listening from tonight, and what time is it there? I love to imagine these words glowing across the world like scattered rays of light. But now, there is nothing more to know, nothing more to hold, only rest. The sun will rise again tomorrow, bright and steady, and for now, you can close your eyes and join it in its rhythm of quiet. Good night, dreamer. Sleep well, and may your dreams be filled with light.
you.